Here we have some pork chops with some garlic and some chili powder, all ready to go. The oven is on 345 right now, well 350, there it goes. So, pretty easy here. We take our stuff and put it in the oven and then bake probably about 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Next we have a boiling pot of water, which we will add 9 red potatoes that's been chopped. And you want to boil these until they're at least tender. Put the lid on here. It's been quite a few minutes, so now we take a little sprinkle of salt. Not much, because potatoes do soak up salt very easily. You just want to add a little bit. Kind of get it go. Heat and salt do make it boil faster, but you don't want to do that in an aluminum pan. And that's how it looks so far. It's pretty good. And we will come back to this in part 2. So now our potatoes are tender. We can push them real easily with a fork. That's how we know that they're done. It's real easily go into them. Just test, make sure they're all pretty good. And then we will drain them, like so. Oh, look at all that steam. So what I've done is I've dumped the potatoes into a colander. We do that to get some of the water off of here. And we're going to take these back to the stove. Pull this extra water out. And pour them back into the pan. It's on, so that's good. Next, you're going to turn it down to probably low, medium low. And put it back on the pan. Now, before everything starts to burn on us, we are going to take some milk. And I don't know, I think it's probably about half a cup of milk. I'm not going to measure it out just because I've been doing this so long, I can see it by sight. And after this, we are going to add next a 1/4 cup of butter. I use stick butter just because it's easier to measure out. Get this unwrapped here in my hand. Try to hold this phone. Oh, stick butter. Now we need to mash it. So we grab our masher. Use our old-fashioned masher here. One of these is a regular masher. And I'm just gonna mash it all together. Oh. Now, some people don't like the skins, but the red mashed taters, or potatoes, that's what it's called, their skins are soft, so they're easier to chew, especially for people like me that don't have no teeth to chew on. Just gonna keep on mashing till everything looks like it's coming together. The reason why you want to add the milk is because it coagulates, when it gets mixed in with a fat, and the fat we are using is the butter, and this coagulates the butter and the milk together, which makes the potatoes more fluffy. So we have our mashed potatoes now. They're pretty much done. They need a little bit of seasoning though. The best seasoning I found for red potatoes is black pepper. Now I don't have out of pepper. We will have a new pepper over here. I'll put you guys down for a moment. Alright, pepper it a little bit. This should be enough. You don't need too much pepper. It'll overpower the potatoes and will not taste good. So now, take our masher over here. We'll mix it in the masher. And our potatoes, we can now take off of our and turn it, move it off the heat so they will keep cooking, and overcooked potatoes taste nasty. You check on our pork. Starting to look good. Then I want to flip them over. Oh, stick. Fine food. That's the most tender one. That'll be mine. Now, if you like, when these are done, they're pretty much done. I'm going to cook them for a little bit longer. You can take all this grease here and add a little bit of milk and some flour. It's probably about 2 tablespoons of flour and probably about 3.5, well, about 3/4 of a cup of milk, maybe 3/4 to 1.5 cups of milk in a saucepan, and you cook it on low while stirring everything in. Whisk the flour into it, and as it cooks, it'll turn into a gravy. You put it on your potatoes. Alright, we'll check back when this is done. Now, going to attempt to make our gravy. So we're going to turn our oven, or sorry, stove top to, let's say, about high. This is the oil grease that I took out of our pan. And this is the flour for the gravy. We're going to pour that in there. That's a little bit more than 3 tablespoons. Next, we are going to grab our whisk that I haven't destroyed yet. And let's change hands here. I'm going to try to get this all mixed together. No lumpies. We don't want lumpies. Alright, now that it's a little bit thicker, So we're gonna take our milk. I'll pour our milk in. Let's go about there. Put in, let's say, it's about 2.5 cups. We're gonna go over here and whisk it some. I'm gonna make sure this is on the heat right here. This is heat plus the fat, and like I told you earlier, the milk coagulates with the fat when you apply heat. It's gonna thicken it up with the flour. It's gonna become a lumpy mess. Some, as you can tell, it's changed a little bit. It's starting to boil a little bit. The filling on the bottom is like a little filmy. That's how you know that it's starting to cook. Get the film on the bottom. You just want to keep cooking this. Put my stuff away. We are back. The gravy is starting to thicken up pretty well. I did add a little bit of extra fat to it. Some butter, about 2 tablespoons of butter. You want to get it to where it's almost boiling, and that's when it really starts to thicken. But you want to constantly stir it up, otherwise it'll burn on the bottom of the pan, and it is so hard to clean it off. I can feel it. It's starting to really thicken up. You can start seeing peaks when you do this. See how it grabs onto it and it wants to stay a little bit. Oh, it is getting up there. It's starting to thicken up. It's starting to get harder to stir. We just want to keep on whisking it. Now, one thing to remember though is while you're cooking this, you get it to the thickness you want. Okay, don't make sure it's as thick as what you want. You want it to a little bit thinner than what. Pull it off the heat before it gets right to the thickness. When it cools down, it's going to be ultra thick. You won't be able to use it. You'll have to add more milk or some water and thin it out and redo a lot of it if you don't remove it from the heat right before it hits your thickness. Okay, this is done. So we have our gravy, we have our mashed potatoes, and we have our meat. All done in about an hour's worth of work. See you guys later.